Welcome to Nisreen's Art World. I'm Nisreen, a dancer and a visual artist with a background in graphic art and psychology, currently based in the US. This podcast is your gateway to a creative fusion of ideas where I explore everything from book reviews to dance analysis, all through an artistic lens in both English and Japanese. Whether you're here for inspiration, insight, or a fresh perspective, I'm glad you're joining me on this journey. Hello everyone, this is Nisreen. Welcome to the 8th episode of Season 3. It's so lovely to speak with you again. Today, I'd like to talk about 3 of my favorite books from my preteen or teenage years. They may not be as internationally acclaimed as Harry Potter or The Secret Garden, but they are wonderfully compelling stories, not only for children, but for adults too. There are no spoilers, so please don't worry. 1. Flossie Teacake's Fur Coat. This book was first published in 1982 and written by the British author Hunter Davies. Its popularity led to the publication of 2 more stories in the same series. The story centers on Flossie, a 9-year-old girl who's desperate for attention. One day, she wanders into her teenage sister Bella's bedroom and finds her fur coat. She's impressed by the coat, which reminds her of Bear. Once she slips it on, something magical happens. I remember enjoying the Japanese translation of this heartwarming story when I was about 9, the same age as Flossie. When I recently found the original English version on Kindle, I didn't hesitate to buy it. This story still makes me laugh today just as much as it did when I was a child. Flossie is hilarious. Her interactions with the driving instructor in particular still make me chuckle. I also discovered some jokes that had been lost in translation, such as her sister's wonderfully long name, Isabella Ioana Glasgow Edinburgh Teacake, given by her proudly Scottish father. Another interesting discovery was how different the presentation of the original book was compared with the Japanese version. On the original cover by Lawrence Hutchins, Flossie is depicted as a quirky and slightly chunky little girl against a psychedelic background. In contrast, in the Japanese version, Flossie is much more conventional looking, illustrated by Mito Orihara, a famous manga artist. Even the title, おしゃまな少女の夢見るデート, roughly translates as a sassy little girl's dream date. It emphasizes femininity far more than the original. I like both versions, but I believe the original captures Flossie's humor more effectively. That said, what resonated with me as a child was something very universal. Her eagerness to be taken seriously by adults and how difficult that is for a 9-year-old. Now that I am closer in age to Flossie's parents, this book is a wonderful reminder of the child's point of view. 2. A Pack of Lies. This is another British book written by Geraldine McCaughrean, first published in 1988. The story contains 12 fascinating tales, much like Arabian Nights, but set in modern London. The book was praised by critics for its clever storytelling and won both the Carnegie Medal and the Guardian Prize. I first read the Japanese translation when I was in my early teens. Reading the original English version now, I was still very much hooked on all the stories, and the mysterious storyteller M.C.C. Berkshire never loses his charm. His stories are sometimes dark and creepy, and at other times comical and romantic. I love how each tale carries a clear, sometimes ironic, moral lesson, offering more than mere entertainment. Now that I know what London is like, some of the cultural elements make much more sense to me too, such as how miserable rainy weather can be, or how good girls often find it hard to say no. The Japanese title was Fushigi o Uru Otoko, literally the man who sells mystery, which I think was a great choice. I also remember that the illustrations by Miho Satake beautifully complemented the book, emphasizing its mystique. Even though that art style is completely different, the vibe it exudes is very much aligned with the original cover art by Robina Green. 3. Tokeizaka no Ie, or The House of the Clock Tower Hill. The final book is a fantasy by the Japanese author Hoko Takadono, first published in 1992. Sadly for international readers, this story has not yet been translated into English or any other languages. However, if you have Japanese proficiency at the level of a 10-year-old or above, I would strongly recommend giving it a go. The story could be described as a Japanese equivalent of Tom's Midnight Garden or The Secret Garden, featuring a mysterious garden that appears in a locked cupola. What sets Takadono's work apart is its psychological depth. The description of a sensitive 12-year-old girl's inner growth is nothing short of perfection. For instance, there is a line that reads, quote, "No matter how sophisticatedly the falls of her heart have developed, she has to play the assigned role in the assigned place. That's what being 12 means." Unquote. This perfectly captures the gap between her burgeoning individuality and the way society continues to treat her as a mere child. I vividly remember how strongly this sentiment resonated with me when I first read the book in my school library at the age of 12. The story also does not shy away from the darker aspects of fantasy, at times becoming genuinely chilling, and the mystery element is highly gripping. The illustrations by Chikako Chiba, the author's sister, are equally captivating and beautifully visualize the story's bewitching atmosphere. It would be a wonderful read for anyone with a dreamy soul. There you have it. Flossie Teacake's Fur Coat is an uplifting adventure about a cheeky girl. A Pack of Lies is a modern Arabian Nights for book lovers, and The House of the Clock Tower Hill is a beautiful fantasy exploring the psychology of adolescence. Do read them if you have not already, and let me know what you think. How did you find today's episode? I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider leaving a review or comment. Liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel will be more than welcome. There's also a Japanese version of this episode. Please check the link in the description if you are a Japanese speaker or learner. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye for now.